Hey everybody, what is up? This is Devin LaVore coming at ya. And today I wanted to just give a little, another little talk on the hearing from God. And as you can see by the title, this is going to be kind of focused on like, what's it like to hear it right from the Lord, even when you kind of heard it wrong? And what does that mean? What do I mean when I say that? And the first example is one that goes back many, many years. That was actually the experience of someone else. And the second example is actually my own personal experience, and it happened actually kind of recently. I'm saying recently, within the last like couple months of the filming of this video. I forget when I had the experience, but it was amazing. But then to find out like, oh, like I'm not really sure about that part, and then I find out that part was wrong. Was like, what? So, if anybody tells you that hearing from God is just easy, they're not telling you the truth. They're lying. No, sorry, they're lying. Like, hearing from God is an adventure. Walking with God is an adventure. It's not perfect. You're not perfect. Hearing from God is not perfect. So it's a skill, it's a craft. It's actually something you learn, like a skill and a craft. It's like getting to know another person. It is a skill and a craft that you develop when you're developing this thing called relationship. Something in my eye. You don't just meet the person and suddenly you know them. No, you got to work with them and communicate. And then they will say things that you'll be like, oh, so that's what you mean, okay? And it's like, what? What do you mean? What do you think I'm saying? And it's like, well, you just said such and such and so and so. And it's like, no, that's not what I said at all. That's not even what I meant. It's like, oh, okay, well, what did you mean? You see what I'm saying? That's the process. And when you have two willing individuals, you're just going to grow and develop, and you're going to learn each other so well that you'll just be able to look at each other from a crowded room and you know exactly what the person's thinking. You can't do that when you first meet the person. You've got to grow and develop, right? And it's the same thing with hearing from God. You've got to grow and develop in this. I got saved in 1994, so this time next year I'll be celebrating 30 years. That's crazy. I don't even, you can say 30 years, but I don't even put a number on it. I can, but it's like, to me, it's all just, I don't know. I don't even know how to gauge my relationship with the Lord in time, because to me, in so many areas, I feel like I'm a kindergartner. You know what I'm saying? I am not worthy to hold the lightsaber. You know what I'm saying? But in other aspects, the more people I meet, the more I realize where their level of intimacy was at with the Lord. I'm like, man, I am kind of up there, ain't I? Spiritual maturity and physical age, I'm like, oh. And it's like, when you live with yourself, it's just, you see yourself differently than other people see you, But, so this first example comes from my YWAM experience, and there was this girl. She was a leader at the time at YWAM, which is Youth with a Mission. It's a missions organization, and I went there from September '98 to September, 2000 something, and then I went on tour with the band for the next 2 years after that. But she's leading this part of the leadership team of this particular YWAM discipleship training school that lasted for like 6 months, a little less than 6 months. And she's just in the presence of the Lord, and she sees this word, and she just sees this KHUTAN, Kutan. What's Kutan? And she starts I guess she starts researching. I'm just kind of piecing together from what I remember, because it's not like we're friends and we talk, but I just remember that story impacted me so much. I was like, wow, God is able to move through the things you thought you heard. And it's just really awesome. And so So she searched and searched and searched. She couldn't find anything called Bhutan or, things maybe related to that. And she was like, God, what are you trying to say? And then she found this other place called Bhutan, Bhutan. And long story short, she ended up meeting. This was a journey that God started. This was a journey that God started with the word Bhutan. That became Bhutan, and then she ended up, her heart was just going after this thing, this journey that God had her on, and she ended up meeting the king of Bhutan and handing him a basketball signed by Michael Jordan because he loved Michael Jordan. And it was just like, wow, what a testimony of the faithfulness of God and how far he will take you if you chase him, right? But in a sense, it started off with something she didn't technically hear properly. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean when I say, how can you be wrong but still be right? How can you hear wrong and hear right at the same time? Well, let me explain something. God is about the heart. He's not about the semantics and the little jots and the tittles. Even though Jesus said, not one jot or tittle will be touched until I fulfilled the entire word, right? But he's saying, I'm here to be the heart of the Father in front of all of you. You look at me, you see the Father. I am his heart. So a lot of times God is just speaking the heart of a thing. That's in all of our relationships. When we're communicating with someone, we want someone to understand the gist of what we're saying. You understand what I'm saying? You get the gist. That's kind of the idea. You catch my flow. You get the vibe of what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? And that's God's no different. He communicates by his spirit. You have a relationship with an invisible being. Okay? And by faith, you have received Christ. By faith, you have received his spirit. By faith, you are trying to walk by the spirit according to the word in Galatians 5 and every other scripture really talks about relationship with the Lord. It really has to do with going back to relationship with the Lord. So that is somebody said, I'm going to tell you how to spell faith, ladies and gentlemen. It's a 4-letter word. It's spelled R-I-S-K. And that's the truth. Even Peter in one of his epistles, I don't know if it's 1st or 2nd Peter, but he says, we believe, therefore we speak. He's like, just like those who were prophets and oracles before, they were hearing this thing from the Lord and they were writing it down and they were speaking according to what they felt like they were hearing from the Lord. And the Lord said this and the Lord said that. And he's like, it's not that much different for us right now, in a sense of we're flowing and moving according to what we really believe is the Spirit of God, and then we speak, And so if you just happen to hear a Bhutan every once in a while, keep going after it, particularly if there's something in you that's going, no, this is the Lord. There's something here. There's something here, And so for me, for example, I was having a very heavily prophetic day one day. And those can kind of actually be dangerous, somewhat breeding grounds for hearing the wrong stuff. Because when you get in the flow of the Spirit, it can feel amazing, but you have to be about hearing from the Lord and not so much the yay, woohoo of what's going on, because you can kind of get lost in it. You can start hearing stuff that just flat out isn't the Lord. It's not the Lord. It's not right. It's just flat wrong, But I was having one of those days where, man, God was just giving me so much stuff. And I was just stepping out there. I was taking a risk. And I was just like, all right, I'm going to write this down. And then I got this prophetic number, 1111. And I felt like the Lord said to me about, hey, and he pointed out this particular prophetess, and I was like, okay. And then I started sharing this stuff that I felt like the Lord was saying, And then toward the end of it, he said, she's going to go places that a lot of people aren't going to be willing to go. They don't even want to. Even some of the men and women of God aren't going to even be willing to go there, but she's going to go there. And then he said the name, and then I heard the name, it was like, and Catherine will do it. And I was just like, it was like others will not go, but Catherine will do it. And I was just like, and when I heard that word Catherine, I was just like, I don't think that's right. And you don't want to be in that kind of flow and just be like, yeah, and then just be like, what? I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? But that is the truth. I mean, that's what this playlist is about. The truth about hearing from God. The truth is, because that's confusing, right? Because how can you be in this flow and you're hearing all this stuff, and then this other thing comes in and it's not right? Or there's just this certain kind of you're flowing and you're going. It's almost like if anyone's ever, like sometimes I used to skateboard, and sometimes you can skate and you're just going, and then all of a sudden you hit this little rinky dinky pebble, and it's like your board just stops and you go flying. It's like, what? Oh, we were such a flow there. And it's like you wonder, well, how can that happen when you're hearing from the Lord? I honestly, guys, I have to tell you, I don't know. I really don't. It just happens. And sometimes we don't always have to know why and how a thing happens. It's enough sometimes to know that, okay, look out for this. Watch out for this, because it's actually going to make you better at what you're trying to do, which is just hear from the Lord and walk in this thing he's got you going in, And if he's got you in a position, particularly prophetically, where he's giving you things to give to other people from him, then you want to be good at it. You want to know that you're delivering the word of the Lord, not 50% Lord and 50% soul. You don't want that. And so, but here's the cool part that I learned about this is that, well, actually, I went on to share it with the person, and then I said, and then I felt like the Lord said this thing, so, get back with me to let me know if that's right or not. And then she got back with me, and she was like, my name is not Catherine. I was like, oh my God. I felt so stupid. I was like, okay, well, thank you. That was the one part that I wasn't really sure about. And then, after I pressed send, I was just like, Lord, why? Like, how? My little 6-year-old, when we do like a little magic trick or something, for 6-year-olds, it don't take much to do magic. You can just go, oh, look over there. Okay, now here I did my magic trick. Whoa! You know what I'm saying? But he will say, how? That's what I'm like. I'm like, how, Lord? How am I in this flow? And then I get this thing wrong. But here's what I learned. It was like, her name is very, very close to Catherine. And I think my mind was trying to remember like what it was. And somehow that got mixed in with just the flow of the river of the Spirit. And then it came out that way. You know what I'm saying? It came out with the Catherine thing. But, and it remains to be seen if what I said is going to really come true. That's even the more difficult part when you're not sure. But the bottom line is you have to do that. You have to step out in things. And I really felt like the Lord was saying to me that I got the heart of it correct, because I was really getting on myself for it. When I get stuff wrong, man, it can be a nightmare in here, because I just don't like it. It really, really bugs me. It bothers me very much, because the truth of the matter is it happens. And I'm doing everything in my power, I guess, to not hear wrong, and not get my soul in the way, not get myself in the way. But it's like it just happened, it just happens. And so, but I felt like I was encouraged by the fact that I felt like the Lord said, no, Devin, you're missing the point. You got the gist of it wrong. You're getting tripped up on this one little leaf that's stuck out on the stem of the whole apple. You're forgetting about the whole apple because of this one little brown leaf that's on the stem. It's just like, come on, bro. He's like, you delivered the apple, didn't you? I'm like, yeah, but it had that brown leaf on it, and it's bugging me. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like I was wrong, but at the same time I was right. You know what I'm saying? So, and honestly, those are just two examples. One from me, one from someone else, and it's like those are just two examples of like that's how it is. That's how it works. You know, you just kind of you really have to. You know what the key is to hearing from the Lord? I believe personally is humility. You really have to walk in that humility because you have to be able to receive it graciously when you are wrong, but then walk and still maintain your confidence in your stance with the Lord that you are righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. And so that is all of this is a journey. It's all a journey, and the more humility we have, the more we allow God to work in us, the more we'll grow. You know, Sean Bowles, you know, he was telling this one person who said, I don't know if I can do this because, and they were just maybe having trouble, but having confidence and faith, hearing from God and all that stuff. I don't know. And Sean Bowles said to the person, I might be getting the numbers wrong, but he's like, listen, buddy, if you're not willing to prophesy over 3,000 to 5,000 people, then you're not worthy of the gift. I was like, wow. I thought he was going to say something deep and encouraging and all. It's okay, brother. It's just, you know, it takes time. You'll get better. Keep going. Nope. He was like, listen, if you're not willing to prophesy over about 3,000 to 5,000 people, you're not worthy of the gift. And I was like, dang, you know? And like Todd White, he was very like, he was popular on YouTube for a long time, for like God just using him to just give words of knowledge and minister miraculous healings to people. I mean, me and Michelle, we used to watch his stuff all the time back in 2017 because it was like, wow, look at the Lord. And he said he prayed for 1,000 people before he saw one person get healed, not saved, but he's an evangelist and he's all about getting people saved through miraculous healings. But he said it was the 1,000th person that he prayed for, that person got healed. And then from that moment on, he just started, you know, becoming, you know, what he was famous for, what he became famous for. Now, I mean, I don't see him that much anymore doing that stuff, but it doesn't matter. Bottom line is he did that. He was very faithful because he was like, no, man, I just want to see people get healed. And I know that God's called me to do this and he won't let me stop. So I'm going to keep on praying. I don't care how many people I pray for and they don't get healed. I don't care that I'm praying and I kind of expect them not to get healed. Whatever. You know, it's like, that's kind of what it is when, you hear, when you're walking, hearing from God. You can't beat yourself up. You can't get down on yourself, but you also have to walk in humility, and you know, you can't be trying to be Mr. or Mrs. Prophet so-and-so. You can't, no, because you probably will be hearing some stuff, but you won't vet any of that stuff. You won't filter or sift any of that stuff because it's all making you look good. Well, I'm not even talking to you. You know what I'm saying? You need to go watch other videos. You probably are doing your own thing. But I'm just saying, like, for those of us who are trying to just walk with the Lord and we want to know more about hearing from the Lord, I'm just trying to share and add to that pool of people of like encouragement and like saying, hey, here's the reality of it. Here's the reality of it. Like it is difficult sometimes, but it's not difficult all the time. It is actually a fun adventure, and you just got to step out there in faith and do it, you know. And who knows, maybe the latter part of this is stepping into a different video, but ultimately it's like sometimes we're going to hear stuff and maybe 20% of it's not right completely, but just focus on like God is the gist of what I'm saying correct. You know, and you got to walk in that humility to just be corrected. Like any student, you're handing in a paper, you got to have that humility that comes with getting the paper back and seeing the red marks on it and the little circles and the little editing points on it. Like, okay, you know what I'm saying? And so anyway, just a little chit chat, I guess. Hope you guys were blessed by it for real. And until the next video, I'll see you later. Bye bye.